World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of Leverage Your Score with your host, the Dress Down CEO, Tyrone Glover, coming to you live from my location, Yonkers, New York, where we do this every single Tuesday. We bring you up to the speed where you need to be when it comes to understanding what is in your credit profile. Figuring out what's in that profile, understanding how you navigate through some of those technical challenges, some of those issues that might be unexplainable when it comes to your credit profile, some of those really challenging situations that are keeping you from the excellence of consumerism. I'm just going to put it out there just like that. Consumerism. How do we consume? What do we do? What aren't we doing that's keeping our scores from where they should be? This show today is going to be dedicated to our 18 through 35. So 18 through 35s, if you guys are listening to me, parents, you're also included in this as well, but I'm specifically talking to my 18 to 35s. I'm going to bring that down just a little bit more. I'm going to go to my 13-year-olders up to my 35-year-olders. Again, parents, seniors, everyone is definitely encouraged to watch, but this one right here, this particular show right now is for my 13 to my 35-year-olders. So if you are in that age group, or if you know someone who is in that age group, could you please do me a favor? Tap them on the shoulder and tell them to go get that device and log in. Go to Soul City right now. Tap them on the shoulder, as we do every single week. Tap them on the shoulder, tell them to go get that device, log in right now. But prior to me starting, I want to give thanks to the creator, because without him, none of this would be possible. I want to give thanks to my students. We had a great day in class today. Thank you, third graders becoming fourth graders. I want to thank Soul City Network for giving me the opportunity to bring my expertise in the credit realm to you every single Tuesday. This is now my new passion. This is now my new love. Along with teaching, this right here is what I enjoy, what I look forward to doing every single Tuesday. So I thank those of you who are here today. Thank you as always. We appreciate you. But as I stated, before we get this ball rolling, I want all of you, grab that device. Here it is. Grab that device. And I want you to go to your Facebook page, as I am doing right now with you. Go to that Facebook page. And I want you to invite people to come to our network. Invite. Send out that invite. Once you're on Soul City Network, you should get a little pop-up that looks like that right there. So you're seeing me along with the broadcast, and you can send that out as a share. So you get a little pop-up on it. Looks like that right there. So you're seeing me. And once you get that little share, then I want you to share it. I want you to send this out to as many people as you possibly can. One is all I want. One is all I want, just one. But I want you to send it out and request of those that you're sending it out to, if they could be so kind as to equally send it out to one person. That's it, one person. Let's help those algorithms get through the roof. Let's make sure that everybody who looks like us, whether you are African American, whether you are Hispanic, whether you are, I'm going to include our Caucasian brothers and sisters, poor middle class Caucasian brothers and sisters. I'm including you in this conversation because unfortunately, your narrative is a little bit off when it comes to whom we should be putting the blame. It's not us. It's not Black folks. It's not Hispanic folks. We didn't take jobs. We didn't come into this country to remove you from. We came into this country to be included into. All right. So if you've already sent out your we are live. We are live. Thank you very much. And with that being said, go ahead and send it out. Send it out to as many people as you can. All right. All I want is one. If you can send it out to one person, greatly appreciative. I'm sending it out to at least 13 people on my device. So again, thank you very much. As I say it every single week, this is Leverage Credit Recovery. Here is where we help you leverage your score. Here's where we help you get to that next level because you're going to need it. You're going to need everything that we bring across the table. Every single Tuesday, every single week that we bring information across the table, you're going to need it. We are dealing with individuals. We are dealing with corporations. We are dealing with entities that are using high-tech weaponry to prevent you from obtaining the credit understanding that you deserve, that you work so hard for. And if we don't start today, at which point is it going to be feasible for us to start? We have to start now. But as I stated, this show right here is directed specifically towards our 13 to 35-year-olds. 13 to 35-year-olds. And I'm going to dive right into it right now to give you the understanding. All right, here we go. All right, so Leverage Credit Recovery. Our recovery depends on what we do now. And that's just that it, what we do now. When you take care of your credit, your financial understanding, when you have a grasp on how that works, it's going to make life so much easier for you. And if we can start you off at an early age, and what I mean by that is that my third graders and fourth graders, or third graders turning into fourth graders, I had the privilege last school year of actually sitting down with fifth graders through eighth graders, and they were hungry. They were hungry. They were eager. They wanted that knowledge. They wanted that information. And what made it even better is because of the fact that they were so hungry and so eager, it made teaching this subject matter to them so easy. So if we can get adults to equally understand, all it is information. Information. My job is to give you that information. My job is equally to make sure that you comprehend that information. And my job is also equally making sure that I follow up with you should you engage in that information that we are presenting. All right. So it's just that easy. I want all of you to understand we are a company that cares about your credit. We are a company that puts every ounce of what we do into making sure that your credit profiles live up to the scrutiny that these banks, these lending institutions, and yes, the government is going to put you through when it comes to obtaining a loan or obtaining a borrowing opportunity. So it's really important that you do everything that you can to make sure that your credit profile is in that top tier. If you're at 650, why aren't you at 750? If you're at 750, why aren't you at 850? And clearly, if you're below 628, you definitely need to reach out to Leverage Credit Recovery. If you are below, again, 628, you definitely need to reach out to Leverage Credit Recovery because the things that we can do is only going to help you. All right, so as we dive deeper into this subject matter, I hope again that all of you have sent this out to at least one person. And if you did that, Thank you very much. So let's keep the ball rolling. All right, so welcome everyone. Why don't we teach financial literacy in schools? Why? Can anybody answer that question for me? Or how about this? How about pondering it for a moment? And then if you have a response that you want to give, please type that response in the response section or the comment section. We'd be greatly appreciative because, again, this allows for me to interact with the public to give them exactly what I know they are going to need, is this excellent understanding of how we, Leverage Credit Recovery, can help you, the consumer, balance, find financial equity in credit. It's just that simple. So why don't we teach financial literacy in schools? Well, I'm going to break that down for you. So prior to me breaking it down for you, I just wanted to give you a little bit of history about me. My name is Tyrone Glover. I'm the CEO and founder of Leverage Credit Recovery and Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs. Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs is my interim experiment that I'm attempting to bring to the table when it comes to helping our youth. Again, these 13 through 35-year-olds get into the world of becoming an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is booming right now. We're seeing that not too many people want to work for somebody, but everybody wants to work for self. So if you can figure out that niche, if you can figure out how you can provide a service that is in need, that's the big thing right there, a service that is in need. My job, again, is to help you, young entrepreneurs, navigate your way through making sure that you have that service that is of need, and how do you build on that need to better service your community, better service your state, better service those entities that you're looking to service. My students call me Mr. Glover, or they call me Mr. G. My self-proclaimed title is the Dress Down CEO. I don't do the ties anymore. I don't do this whole get up, the monkey suits, the dog and pony shows. I'm sorry. I'm done with that. I have no more use for that. I can give you everything that I can give you in this attire that I'm currently in right now, and you wouldn't suffer not one bit. A suit and tie doesn't necessarily make the individual. The content of what that individual brings is what makes that individual. And I can tell you right now, the content that we bring is 100% on point. I'm a consumer protection, financial literacy advocate and activist. I'm a credit enthusiast, a summary judgment intermediary. I'm a pro se litigant teacher and a veteran honorably discharged service member from the United States Army. So I come with some credentials behind why I believe that I am adequately suited to discuss credit with any individual, and I've already said it. I challenge anybody who wants to step up to that plate and go back and forth with me about what my knowledge and skill sets are. And I'm open to that any day of the week. So if there are credit experts out there and you want to join in the table talk, by all means, I'll sit you down and we'll go over it. Or shall we say, as I said, one of my day traders will duel, and we'll see how much of friends we can become after that duel. Because I don't make enemies, I only make friends. Moving right along. Okay, so my qualifications. My educational background includes a BA in logistics, an MBA in business management and human relations. Logistics, movement of goods and services. Business management, product and services provided to consumers. And human relations, the management of people and the relationship with business. So those three are super important. So that's why they tie in so nicely. So I focused on making sure that I understood my community, that I understood my business community as well, and that I understood how my community and the business community actually relate and communicate. And that's what makes this such a, or shall I say, that's what makes me such a dynamic person when it comes to being able to help you navigate your way through some of these complexities when it comes to credit. I have a full background on a lot of things that most people probably would not have a background on. I'm a notorious learner, and as you can see by some of the locations that I've worked for, you can see as well. I've worked for some of the top dogs in Germany as well as in Europe, as well as in the United States. I've been bestowed the privilege and honor on many occasions to participate in an upper executive level with some of America's and Europe's leading companies. I have shared my logistic, business management, and human relations expertise with these top industry brands and leaders. Foot Locker, for the most part, everybody I know frequents Foot Locker. And how many of you understand how Foot Locker even became or got into existence? Well, if you remember, if you're old enough, Woolworth, that's all I'm going to say. Woolworth, ask me, what does Woolworth and Foot Locker have in common? Shoot me an email, leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll tell you exactly how that ties in. I am a veteran of the United States Army. I've even worked for United Airlines, and I wouldn't be here sitting with you today. 9/11 was my wake-up call that led me to understand you got to be doing something bigger and better, because I was on a flight that left exactly the same time that those flights that left from Boston, New York, and Newark. The only, shall we say, the only savings grace is that terrorists didn't believe that if they traveled to the next international airport, which was Philadelphia, they probably would have had one more airplane, and that would have been the airplane that I was on. So we are, again, that's why I give thanks to that creator every single day. Food for Less, Universal Studios, Petco, Chevron. Real is a retail outlet that's kind of like our Targets. It's a German retail outlet, which they were just bought by Kaufhaus. NBC Universal, SAS Retail Services, and UPS. Now, this was all prior to me having other jobs that I started. And I started my working career at age 15. I was starting to work at age 15, still in high school, and I was a buffer at Pathmart in Hyde Park, New York. So I come with a plethora of knowledge, a extended resume that will benefit anybody who wants to have that understanding. I took all of what I've garnered from some of these fantastic companies, and I thank them all, every single last one of us. Even though our relationships may not have gone in the manner in which they should, every single one of these companies have been a blessing. They have helped me to establish the person that I am today, and for that, I thank them all. But unfortunately, corporate America still got some issues, and that's why I choose now to be an educator, and also equally moving into the realm of more teaching and assisting our communities in understanding their financial mishaps that have been created not just through them, but that have been equally created by manipulative, deceptive practices that these industries and these leaders of these industries continue to abuse and use consumers. All right, so American financial literacy and American epidemic. Our nation is rapidly sinking into a sea of debt and financial dependency, and the crisis is growing. It is growing. It is growing so exponentially that it's actually pretty disturbing. We do not teach financial literacy in all 50 states. It's pretty sad. It is pretty sad that we are having a conversation about one of the most important things that you are going to do as you become an adult, which is manage your money. And we do not teach that in schools in all 50 states on a regular basis. Just like you teach math, science, social studies, history, whatever electives that are given in school, financial literacy should definitely be part of those curriculums. It's just, again, no getting around it. We need to make that part of the curriculums. Every single school needs to make sure that they have a financial literacy curriculum. This is a plea to all superintendents. This is a plea to all mayors. This is a plea to all elected officials that you must make financial literacy a priority if you are going to solve some of these economic problems that we have in our borders. It's just that simple. You want to get a handle on gun control, financial literacy. You want to get a handle on overpopulations in prison, financial literacy. You want to get a handle on voters' rights, financial literacy. You want to get a handle on abusive policing, financial literacy. You want to get a handle on, shall we say, the inabilities of reading and writing in schools, financial literacy. When you give our children something to look forward to, which I've done it just in the summer school, and I've done it last school year, students respond to favorable topics. And you have to, as a teacher, you got to know how to teach the subject matter. It's just that simple. But as you can see, financial literacy, an American epidemic. Got to change the way that this works and actually equally doesn't work. All right, so here's some of the grade elements that we're going to be talking about. If you have an A grade, states must ensure financial literacy instructions in each grade K through 12. The students require the completion of a standalone personal finance course from high school graduation, as well as financial literacy standards for each grade K8. So if you have an A grade, those are some of the understandings that you're already executing. If you got a B grade, states must deliver above average financial literacy instructions. B states either require a course that is embedded with personal financial concepts for high school graduation and has specific high school financial literacy standards and has that K through 8 financial literacy standards, ensuring financial literacy instructions in grade K-12, but not through a standalone personal financial course. So more or less what they're basically saying is, if you have these, make sure that they go from high school all the way down to your K. That's what they're basically more or less saying. Have it from high school all the way down. And if you do, guess what you're getting? You're getting a B grade. C, states must either require a course that is embedded with personal financial concepts and high school graduations and have a financial literacy standard, or requirements of high school and have financial literacy standards for most grades. So they're more or less C grade. They're reducing that to not telling that you must have it. You must either require. So they're giving you a choice here, but that's still not enough. If you're given a choice and you're still not executing, you're getting a C grade. And D, states may require financial literacy instructions in high school, but not in K-8. K-8 is where you need it. K-8 or vice versa, or may provide some financial literacy instructions through grades K-12, but not in every grade. And lastly, the failing states. States do not require or guarantee any financial literacy instructions from grades K-12. So that D, that F, that C, that needs to be elevated. That actually, those grades need to be gone. If you're not subjected to an A or a B, then you need to be talking to your schools. You need to be asking them, how come? Why are we not teaching the most important element of what graduating high school should be about? When you graduate high school, you are probably 2 or 3 years into already working and you have zero financial knowledge. Zero. Because some of the schools in some of these states aren't even requiring it. But let's go back to that one screen. So you can clearly see the yellows, the blues, the greens, the reds. So clearly the reds must be our failing states. I don't even have to tell you. Red states are failing, not red states meaning Republican red states, but there you are. You have a few red states that are failing. Our yellows are your Bs. Quite a few B states that are making it. Excellent for those B states that are doing everything that they need to be doing. Let's take a look at our green states and our blue states. So green states, you got C. Blue states, you got D. All right, so you get the gist. You get exactly what I'm attempting. So our gray states, those are our A states. Utah. West Virginia and North Carolina. Wow, shockingly. Wow. I think that's Nevada. No, not Nevada. That's Utah. I know that's Utah. Oh man, I should be doing a better job with the states. But if you know these yellow states, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put it in our chat. I would really love to see who is geographically inclined to tell me what those states are. But again, this map tells you everything that you need to know about whether or not your state presents a grade that is passing, or a grade that is not quite there yet, or a grade that is excelling at their financial literacy. All right, so here's some of the symptoms of not having proper financial literacy. Accelerating obsessive debt. It's getting out of control. Our debt is getting out of control. And it's okay that we have debt. I want to reinforce something. There's something called good debt, and there's something called bad debt. Good debt is an actual home. Things that increase in value is considered good debt. Obviously, bad debt are things that you have neglected on meeting your contractual understanding. That's considered bad debt. But there's ways of getting around or managing both. You just have to have the proper knowledge. Abusing or misusing and abusing credit cards. I've already talked about this on a number of occasions. There are two things that you must do, because those two factors weigh the most when it comes to your credit understanding. That's paying on time. There's no getting around not paying on time, and bringing down that utilization. Those two areas are 65% of your overall credit score. If you can't manage those two, the other three remaining areas are not going to cut the mustard. All right. Inadequate or non-existent savings. Okay, you got to be putting something away, folks. Our discretionary spending, having more white clothes for the next white party, having an abundance of shoes or whatever it is that you relieve your endorphins on, you are going to have to figure out, am I putting things away? And this is specifically, again, those 13 through 35-year-olds. You need to start thinking about that now. If you're 13 and you got a piggy bank, excellent. But you should be 13 and you probably should have a O. Henry card, or you should have a green light card, or you should have a busy kids card. Those are all excellent starter projects that you can more or less use to start giving you that comfort behind swiping and understanding investing, understanding how your money is working. So the results, if you do that, increase bankruptcy filing, over-dependency on government, and no retirement savings. So these are the results that could potentially come from if we do these important things. We will decrease the bankruptcy filings. We will not have such an over-dependency on government, and we will have adequate amounts of resources in our savings for retirement if we choose today to make the necessary changes. All right, so here's the report card, the National Report Card on Financial Literacy. The National Report Card on Financial Literacy, American Public Education Foundation, National Report Card on Financial Literacy grades each state in the United States and the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico in terms of K-8 financial education. There it is. It's a report card that breaks it down, A through F grade. It breaks it down. It tells you which states are golden, which states need a little assistance, which states are barely cutting the mustards, and which states are not even executing nothing when it comes to financial literacy. If we don't start this now within the household that resonates to the school system, we're going to be setting our kids up for further failure when it comes to financial literacy. And I've already said it many a times. 50 years ago, last year, July, they had their first March on Washington. Martin Luther King, John Lewis, all of the important figures of today's African-American community were at that march 50 years ago. And what were they talking about? Equity. They were talking about voters' rights. They were talking about some of the same conditions that they were talking about last July, last year. The same circumstances that they were talking about, the same thing. If we go another 50 years, that would be 150 years in total, and we're still talking about the same thing. We are not doing our due diligence, folks. We're not. We will have failed every single generation that we've brought into the mix. This American experiment is failing financially when it comes to Black, brown, and again, poor middle-class white folks whose rage and outrage is directed towards the wrong ethnic groups. If we're going to do this, we as the American experiment need to come together and unify. If you want to be the divided states of America, please, by all means, go right ahead. But I'm looking for those who want to be the United States of America. So, the uncomfortable truth of financial literacy. 16% of suicides in the United States occur in response to a financial literacy problem. Can't pay them bills. They hurt when you can't pay them bills. They put a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of unnecessary, uncomfortable situations come through not being able to pay them bills. And it's shocking that 16% of suicides in America occur in response to financial problems. We have to do better. Only 57% of adults in the United States are financially literate. Again, we're talking about 43% of the population, half of the population of adults. We haven't even talked about the kids. Okay, we haven't even addressed. That's why I'm addressing this for our 13 through 35-year-olds. If we got 57% of adults, that must more than likely mean that we got a good 80 to 90% of students. We cannot continue to grow this American experiment if we have this many people in financial harm's way. It's got to change. The United States ranks 14th in the world of percentages for financially literate adults. 14th. But yet we tout and we rah-rah about how good we are in sports, how good we are in getting to the moon, how good we are when it comes to, I guess, this country. But unfortunately, 14th doesn't make you top 10. Doesn't even make you top 5. That's 14th. That means you're 6 away from 20. That's not a good place to be. We got to do better. We got to do better. We have to do better. And it starts with this particular understanding right now. Here's some more uncomfortable truth about financial literacy. High school seniors scored an average of 48% correct on financial literacy exams. So that means they have an understanding, but can you imagine if we gave them just a little bit more? If we pushed them just a little bit more? If we made them focus just a little bit more? We would not only just have excellent students, but we'd have financially prepared individuals that will enter into the economy and already know exactly the destinations in which they need to travel and the expectations that they should have of their bosses. 4 out of 5 adults say they were never given an opportunity to learn about personal finances. 4 out of 5 never given the opportunity to learn about personal financial. And I can agree with that. I can agree that should have been something that should have been top priority. And today is where we're going to make that top priority. Every single last one of you who are listening today, if you haven't already, I asked you already, go out and make sure that you brought people in. If you brought people in, thank you very much. But if you didn't, this is the show. This is the time frame to do that, because we're talking truth to what is actually going on. These numbers are real, and they're real scary. And if we don't do something today, if we don't start today, when? Are you going to wait for another pandemic? I hope not. Some more uncomfortable truth about financial literacy. Only 1 out of 3 college students believe they will graduate with the skills and knowledge necessary to be successful in the workplace. 1 out of 3. Come on now, people. These numbers should scare you. We should not be sending our children into the working world of predators who are going to take advantage. We got to do better. We are sheep amongst the wolves, and this has to change. And it's got to change now, not tomorrow, not in a week, not next month, not before school starts, not next year. We can't make this another resolution. We have to start today. And lastly, lack of financial literacy cost Americans more than, again, $415 billion in 2020. Let's just listen to that one more time. Lack of financial literacy cost Americans more than $415 billion in 2020. Didn't they just pass not the resolution or the reconciliation, but didn't they just pass the $500 billion infrastructure? Oh my God, Joe Biden, I just paid for it right there. I just paid for this $500 billion infrastructure. I just paid for it. You want to know how to pay for it? Financially educate all of the students in America. There you are. You want to know how to pay for anything that comes out of Congress? Financially educate all of our citizens. It's just that simple. You want to pay for any initiatives, Congress, that you are sitting there with all of your beloved colleagues, these insurrectioners who obviously, clearly, we already know, who capitulated with those individuals on January 6th. You want to solve our problems? You want to pay for things that you can't figure out how to pay for? Well, I'm telling you now how to pay for it. $415 billion in 2020 alone could have been saved if we focused on financial literacy. All right, summary of the grades. So clearly, this is New York State. So New York State's financial literacy grade is a D. It's a D. We're one step away from an F. A Democratic state is one step away from an F. So this is why I have a real problem with elected officials. A Democratic state doesn't have zero interest in making sure that its consumers are financially literate. I don't get that. I don't get that. Governor Cuomo, all of our elected officials who run this state, commissioners of schools, boards of directors of schools, can you please answer why we have a D grade when it comes to financial literacy in our state? We are a Democratic state, and I believe, if anything, a D doesn't represent who you guys constantly keep claiming. The mayor of my town, Mayor Spano, the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio. Can you please, somebody tweet it out to them and ask them, because I'm going to do it later, ask them, why is it that a Democratic state like New York State has a financially literacy grade of D? What is it? They don't care? Or are they giving off this so-called notion that they do care? Well, if they cared, significant accomplishments require high school courses with financial literacy standards. Significant accomplishments required high school courses with financial literacy standards. You got to want it just as much as we want it. And how do we get there? We need to improve. Need to require high school standards alone or standalone personal financial courses and implement grade-specific K through 8 financial literacy standards. We have to cover K through 8. Why do I know we have to cover K through 8? Because I've been in the schooling system for the last 6 years. Last school year, 2020 to 2021, I spent the entire year teaching financial literacy. Financial literacy, as the librarian, teaching financial literacy. The students were so engaged. They loved it. They were so appreciative of learning things that they have never, ever had the opportunity of even talking about. We got to do better in schools. We got to do better. So I'm challenging all of my teaching staff, teachers. I'm challenging all of the superintendents of schools. I'm challenging all our elected officials in this state, in New York State. This challenge can also be broadened out into other states, but I'm challenging right now New York State to make sure that you raise this grade from a D to a B by the end of school year of 2021. Because if you don't, I'm coming hard. I'm coming so hard at you because you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. If we still got a D grade by the end of school year 2020, I'm going to give you a little bit of time. I'm going to give you till 2024. Because I got a special announcement coming in 2024. If we're not at a B grade by 2024, Mr. Glover, Mr. G, your dress down CEO is going to have a special announcement for you guys around that time frame. So I'm hoping that we are where we need to be. Because if not, put it like this: someone else is going to be running. All right, New York State requires a 1/2 credit economic course for high school graduations. The recommended courses for this requirement, grade 12, economic and enterprise system and finances, has 4 main standards, and half of the substandards under individual responsibilities and the economics are personal finance concepts. Therefore, each New York student receives some financial literacy instructions through the required high school economics course. It's not enough. Some is not enough. Some is not enough. New York, do you hear me? Some economic financial literacy courses is not enough. They need to be in depth. Just that simple. They need to know how to read their pay stubs. They need to know how to calculate their taxes. They need to make sure that their wages are appropriate and sufficient. And if they can't do that, we're not setting them up for success. We're setting them up for failure. The New York State's K-8 social studies framework does not include financial literacy standards. While there are economic standards for each grade, there are no specific personal financial standards, meaning students are not guaranteed any financial literacy instructions until senior year of high school. 9th grade, I believe you turn 16 or excuse me, by the time you graduate, you should be 16 and 17. But in the 9th grade, some of you are already 16 and you're getting that first job. Even prior to that, you're mowing the lawns, you're shoveling snow, you're raking leaves. You're doing something that's going to put a little added change in your pocket. But you should still know, what does that all mean? Financial literacy is the only thing that's going to give you that understanding. 13-year-olds to 35-year-olds. Parents who are listening as well. This is the only way that our children get a head start. By making sure that we are covering financial literacy in depth. It can't be some, it can't be a little. It has to be in depth. In New York State, in 2021, New York legislators voted to require that the Department of Financial Services website provide information to enhance consumer financial literacy and consumer awareness, which shall include information on basic banking and personal financial management, how credit scores are determined, and ways to establish good credit, options for investing and increasing savings, best practices for protecting personal information, and any other topics deemed appropriate by the superintendent, showing some interest in increasing the level of financial literacy of New Yorkers, but no legislation pertaining to K-12 education in personal finance was even passed. So they give you a little bit, but they didn't do the whole gamut. They gave you just a little bit, just enough to say, yeah, we're doing something. We're doing something, but you're not doing enough. Something is not enough. Just like our roads, just like our bridges, just like our schools. This part needs to be part of the infrastructures that we're building or attempting to rebuild. So Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all of our elected officials in Congress, both the House and Senate, this reconciliation that is now the big talk of the town needs to be passed, and a large percentage of money needs to be directed towards financial literacy. If we take care of financial literacy, we take care of a lot of other issues. If we take care of financial literacy at K, meaning kindergarten, all the way up to 12, we better the lives of every single person involved. New York received a D in financial literacy instructions, as it does not provide substantial K-12 instructions. New York provides minimal instructions through embedded standards in the required high school economic courses. Minimal. That should shock anyone that we provide minimal. I'm 55 years old and we provided nothing and minimal up until obviously right now. I didn't get no type of financial literacy training in school. All of my financial literacy came through leaving the United States, going to Germany, marrying into a wealthy family and getting everything that I should have received prior to even going to Germany. But our country doesn't care. Yes, I'm going to say it outright. It does not care. Because if it cared, we wouldn't be providing minimal, a democratic state. Why are you providing minimal instructions through embedded standards in required high school economic courses? Minimal. In order to improve its grade and provide instructions from grades K through 12, New York needs to require a standalone high school personal finance course and concept grade specific personal finance standards for grades K through 8. We need to start now. We need to start now. So why don't we teach financial literacy in school? Why? Well, here you go. 1, climbing the corporate ladder is no longer tangible. In previous generations, students were instructed to work hard, obtain an education, graduate, and enjoy all the freedoms of a well-paying position, complete with pension and other rewards. You're not getting any more of those pensions. You're not getting any more of those rewards. You're barely getting a salary that compensates for the work that you do. This is no longer as feasible. You're not getting those pensions. You're not getting those things that used to be there. Gone. Why? Greed. Point blank, greed. Those who have the ability to constantly keep getting more will keep getting more, and those who have been deprived will constantly keep getting deprived unless we introduce financial literacy into the schools starting at K all the way up to 12. Over time, the corporate structure has changed in unexplainable ways. The problem is, as I stated, greed. Greed. The greed of this country is hurting millions of our citizens. And we can change it overnight if we introduce financial literacy into our schools. Overnight. Number 2, no one knows how to teach financial literacy. The school systems lacks modernization experts who teach financial literacy are few and far between. Many teachers, unfortunately, lack the knowledge themselves on financial literacy. They are ill prepared to teach it to the next generation of students. The school system is still widely geared towards subjects such as math and chemistry and other subjects sought after by post-secondary institutions. This makes it extremely difficult to add a course in financial literacy to the roster. Well, we should start looking at, do we need all of these secondary understandings, these post-secondary understandings? Do we need all of those? Unless you're geared towards, shall we say, history, and you're going to become a history teacher, maybe that might be something that we can scale back. Unless you're going to be a scientist, someone who needs all of that science, maybe we can scale some of that back. There are some things that I believe that we can scale back and implement things like financial literacy that's going to benefit everyone. Everyone. Science is not going to benefit everyone. Social studies is not going to benefit everyone. History is not going to benefit everyone. But there are courses like financial literacy that will benefit everyone. Number 3, Families lack critical education. With most lifestyles, the best education starts at home. Unfortunately, parents sometimes are confused as to where to begin teaching financial literacy to their children and are often struggling to frame the topic in a child-friendly way. You should see my classes, folks. You should see. I have to laugh at it. You should see my classes because our students are engaged. They are so, they challenge me and I love it. I love it. They ask questions. You can see when they're sitting there how their faces light up because they're so connected to the subject matter. And you have to be a teacher that doesn't mind making a fool of yourself sometimes, doesn't mind being the class clown for that particular moment because you got to keep these kids engaged. I use a Glover Bucks process, and as long as they are participating, guess what? They're getting rewarded. They're getting rewarded. The grade doesn't do it anymore. We have to find creative ways of teaching subject matters that might not be, shall we say, first and foremost on that academics curriculum chart. But we got to bring it into it. We got to bring these understandings into schools. I'm telling you now. Children want the information, and it has to be presented in a manner in which the children will stay connected. You lose them, they're gone. And too many of us do not understand that keeping your students connected helps them as well as it allows for you, the teacher, to really start honing in on, okay, they got it. This one or that one might need 1 or 2 more sessions, which allows for you to have those one-on-ones, which allows for you to have those 2-3 groups that can break out and do their thing. And also, you don't want to slow down the progress of those who are on point. You want to encourage them to constantly keep doing more. And those who might need 1 or 2 more settings, again, our job is to make sure that every single body makes it. Every single body. We leave no man, child behind. Just that simple. No man, woman, child behind. No one left behind. No man, woman, child, grandparent. No one is left behind. So number 4, a vetted investment. A vetted investment. This means that you gotta want it. Some say there is no more sinister reason as to why education in financial literacy is lacking is consumerism. More debt owed means higher interest payments owed to banks and corporations. That's exactly what that means. More debt owed means higher interest payments owed to banks and corporations. Clearly, if you don't have a financial literacy understanding, you're going to be giving them more and more and more and more of your hard earned. We've been doing it for decades. How do I know? Because I was that person. They prey on a financially illiterate and unprepared public. It's just that simple. This is how these institutions get richer and richer and richer and richer and richer. And we've already talked about what fees and fines these institutions pay for manipulating and abusing consumers. And the only reason why they manipulate and abuse consumers is because we lack the financial understanding. And I can guarantee you, some of these institutions don't even want that type of knowledge brought to schools. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if some of the biggest challengers of financial literacy not being in school might be some of these very same financial institutions that we're giving our monies to. All right. So it starts with, so how do we solve this epidemic? How do we take this issue and make it no longer an issue? How? What do we do? It starts with education, educating our children in the classroom. It's just that simple. It starts with educating our children in the classroom. The consequence of financial literacy manifests themselves throughout our society. This national crisis may seem daunting and at times impossible to overcome, but the American Public Education Foundation thinks otherwise. We believe financial literacy begins in the classroom at the earliest age. And I am 100% behind the American Public Education Foundation with that statement. We believe financial literacy begins in the classroom at the earliest age. Together, we can embrace our responsibilities to prepare the next generation for learning, for leadership, and for life, and change the course of their futures. Just that simple. All with just 2 words: financial literacy. All right, so I was able, as I told you before, I was able to, in my school that I had the privilege of being in all year. Thank you so much, Dr. Washington, Boyce Thompson High School in Yonkers, New York. I had the greatest time ever. She allowed for me to literally get comfortable in the position that they gave me, which was the library position as a long-term sub. That library position turned into the possibilities of introducing a financial literacy course that, again, 5th graders all the way up to, actually, I'm going to take that back. It was actually 4th graders. I was teaching 4th graders about Glover Bucks. I was making sure that they were incorporated into the showing up to get rewarded. First part of any success story is showing up. Just that simple. And this was one of my ways of including. It was a Google slide, a Bitmoji Google slide, and it came out phenomenal. And I called it the Day One Financial Literacy Initiative. Day one, because you always hear this from our elected officials. On day one, on day one, on day one. This is what they're always going to do. On day one, on day one. Well, guess what, elected officials? You haven't done really much on day one. So that's why I stole that day one. I took it because on day one, we are going to teach your children how to start becoming financial literate. Just that simple. On day one, we're going to teach your children. We're going to go so far back in history to study the means of exchange, the beginning of money. We can go so far back in history that breaks it down. I bet none of you knew that we used to use rats as a means of exchange. Yes, we're going to talk about money in America. We're going to talk about all about banking. We're going to introduce you to the stocks. We're going to introduce you and talk about what is credit. Then we're going to talk about money everywhere. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with your own money. How are you doing with your money? Because if you're not doing good with your money, you think anybody's going to trust you with their money? This one day or day one financial literacy initiative was well received. And I'm here to share it with every single one of you students who want to engage themselves in something that you are going to need throughout the rest of your days. All right, so what should our kids be investing in? Or what young Americans had wished they had learned more about in school? How to invest, how to do taxes, how to manage monthly bills, how to negotiate a salary, how to save for a retirement, how to buy a home, how to prepare for a job interview, how to not spend more than you make, how to find a job, how to manage student loans, how to be an effective public speaker, how to cook, how to navigate the workplace, how to work in teams, how to do laundry and other household chores, and lastly, others. So again, our kids are asking the question, can we as the adults provide the solutions? It's just that simple. And if we do, our children are going to benefit from it. It's just that simple. Our children are going to benefit from it. So it's lovely to meet all of you. I want to thank you for giving me the time. Let's stay connected. You can email us at leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. You can meet us at our website where there's a contact the CEO, or you can schedule an appointment to get a free consultation. That's at leveragecreditrecovery.com. Call me, text me, 805-428-9424. Mailing address, if you want to send a correspondence or a little thank you that you appreciate our show, P.O. Box 101, Yonkers, New York, 10702. All right, there you have it, folks. In a nutshell, did what we needed to do in that time frame in which we are to do it. And I can't thank you enough. My name is Tyrone Glover. I am the CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. My job is to provide you with the most up-to-date educational knowledge and information that I myself can possess and gather so that I can give you a show that's going to help you prepare yourself and get ready for whatever financial opportunity that might be coming your way. I want to thank you, everybody, for giving me part of your afternoon. It's always a blessing. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Jax, my guy. Happy birthday to my nephew, Jax. If you haven't, go to Instagram, look up Story Love, and see Jax get down singing It's Somebody's Birthday. Jax is the man. So happy birthday, Jax. Thank you, everybody. This is Tyrone Glover, your Dress Down CEO, wishing you all peace. Please be safe. Please be blessed. And stay alive. Get vaccinated if you haven't. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.